We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome from the meditation. It was awesome. Welcome if you're just joining us. And for the first time, Happy New Year, Happy Decade, happy everything. I hope this might be a homily that I can not have a hurricane or power failure or something. Well, everybody, we're back. We're back from vacation. We're back from ready to start anew. Our purpose. We are an assembly of equals, joined in common purpose, awakening to one truth. With an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth, a rest in its embrace. And my core value today is number 3. We accept one truth, which is one presence or being, non-dual, without beginning or end, and absolutely changeless. We live this value by practicing letting go of the belief in the individual self as who we are. And now I've got announcements. Okay, Gentle Healing 1. The first announcement will begin on Monday, January 27th. Reverend Shauna Summers will lead the new Gentle Healing group. Nice going, Shauna. The group will meet weekly on Mondays, 8 to 10 Eastern Time, which is 6 to 8 Mountain Time. Anyone who is interested beginning gentle healing is invited to attend. There isn't a registration process for gentle healing. If you want to participate, just show up on January 27th. Please tell your friends about this new group. Since new gentle healing groups begin only at the beginning of the year, this is the only 2020 opportunity to begin with a gentle healing group. The books needed for gentle healing are 1, A Course in Miracles, the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testaments. The second announcement, the next 2 retreats offered at the Awakening Together Retreat House are starting the new year. Resolving for Truth, January 20th to 24th, and the Self-Inquiry Retreat from February 17th to the 21st. Regina will lead both of these retreats. Winter is a wonderful time to go to Levita on retreat. Levita is especially quiet in the winter, which lends itself well to our spiritual purpose. To learn more about the upcoming retreats, winter retreats, and the 2020 retreats in Levita, see retreats at the Retreat House under the Retreats and Classes menu on our website. For rescuing I thought we were going to have another bolt of lightning. Anyway, it's great to be here. It's incredible how this all came together, and I feel like I'm in such an overload of information. All to heal. Anyway. Good morning, Father. Once again, it's me and you. And I come to you from the deepest part of my heart. Being that you may have all of me today, that you may allow me to employ your Holy Spirit to be in charge of all our thoughts, all our feelings and words today. That they may find that common grounding language in all of us as we end the exploring of this binary dualistic thought system and live in the next step that belongs to you. Guide us through these manifestations and understandings to their boundary limits and beyond the words they rode in on. To accept that they too have a covenant, a contract, just like us, that we must die to self if we want to live. And as these words in their rebirth, now quietly, without form, guides us through our intuitive understandings, where they too eventually lose themselves in the deafening, vibrational, emptying sounds of silence. Amen. Okay. Wow. I guess to move right along, we're going to go. I picked out something from Meg to read, Reverend Meg, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Meg.
All right. Good morning, everybody. And I can read what's on my screen, and I don't have to share it, so there shouldn't be any complications. Today we are reading a very short passage from Nisargadatta's book, I Am That. Pretty much just one page, and that's number 49, and the title is Mind Causes Insecurity. And the description: it is only your mind that makes you insecure and unhappy. Anticipation makes you insecure, and memory makes you unhappy. Stop misusing your mind, and all will be well with you. You need not set it right. It will set itself right as soon as you give up all concern with the past and the future and live entirely in the now. So the questioner starts off asking, people come to you for advice. How do you know what to answer? Maharaj says, as I hear the question, so do I hear the answer. And the questioner says, and how do you know that your answer is right? And Maharaj says, once I know the true source of the answers, I need not doubt them. From a pure source, only pure water will flow. I am not concerned with people's desires and fears. I am in tune with facts, not opinions. Man takes his name and shape to be himself, while I take nothing to be myself. Were I to think myself to be a body known by its name, I would not have been able to answer your questions. Were I to take you to be a mere body, there would be no benefit to you from my answers. No true teacher indulges in opinions. He sees things as they are and shows them as they are. If you take people to be what they think themselves to be, you will only hurt them as they hurt themselves so grievously all the time. But if you see them as they are in reality, it will do them enormous good. If they ask you what to do, what practices to adopt, which way of life to follow, answer, do nothing, just be. In being, all happens naturally. Handing the mic back over to you. Thanks for letting me read.
Thank you, Meg. Well, I got to kick it off with a little extension of that prayer because I was in such overload. So, Father, 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 what are you making? What have you given me today? There is so much. I feel like it's a check-in. The making of this homily. All the spices that came from that one source of love. After spending time in nothingness, spending time to no time in nothingness, losing self, finding your love, traveling in your creation to the Holy Spirit's oneness of the I am, passing through the filter of my true aspiration, that I may want what you want and go beyond with you. Forgive me of my plagiarisms of the authors I'm recalling from today. Cynthia Bourgeau, The Wisdom of Jesus, from the Gospels of Thomas and Mary Magdalene. From the Holy Spirit's NTI through Regina. My Awakening Together family. Nisargadatta, my AA family. My wife Susan. My spiritual partner, Reverend Meg. The classroom relationships of my job, family, and friends. From the wisdom of my experience, from the scientist Thales, who said, the primary source of all things is water. And from my attempt to clone your love, Father. So let it be. So before I talk about let it be, let me give the three properties of water. Let me get them out of the way as they relate to our awakening. Water, as we know, has three properties of identification similar to our spiritual evolution. We have the ice in the solid, the nounship of non-moving ideas and concepts of God and love. Then we have the liquid, the fluid flow of God as a verb, flowing without shape or form, constantly changeless, forever changing malleably, ready to adjust to mold into its likeness, always expanding into its infinite directional flow like the archer's arrow, traveling through the bullseye in the canvas, coming closer and closer to the light, density of the liquid diminishing from the divine heat and its gravitational pull. Right here, you need do nothing. You've crossed that threshold where the search is searching you now, where the liquid is evaporating into its vapor, or the vacuum from the infinite emptiness has just consumed the concept of your empty cup. So let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. I can recall three places off the top of my head in the Bible. In Genesis, when God said, let it be, the created universe came tumbling into existence. The Annunciation, when the angel Gabriel told Mary she would conceive, and she stated in her surrender, "Let it be with me according to your word." And what I really want to talk about today was Jesus' surrender in the Garden of Gethsemane. And before this day, Jesus having talked the talk for quite some time now, to now he must walk his walk. He knows his hour is coming. A great story where Jesus puts himself at the ground zero, at the root of all density, ice-like, still in human flesh, confronting his deepest fear, knowing of the betrayal and its hour is coming, negotiating with the all of his own being. At the threshold of his most primitive fight or flight instinct. Have you been there? How far do you take this emptying, this surrender? You know, as I read in Luke 22, and it stated, Jesus was sweating blood that night until he came to terms with his surrender. And his words were, his silent words probably, "Let it be. Your will." For that, from that moment, Jesus' teachings of let it be in the emptying to the Genesis divine let it be emptiness where creativity signifies a rebirth, a new creation. His rebirth into the larger mind was quite evident. When Pontius Pilate asks, "What is truth?" Jesus, in his non-wavering, non-dual mind, not taking the bait with a dualistic question that prefers a dualistic answer, stayed steadfast in his unaffected self and said nothing. Did I lose you guys? I did. You've got to be kidding me.
You're still good.
Am I still good? Okay. I lost the whole screen. I go, here we go again. All right, stayed steadfast in his unaffected self, saying nothing to that dualistic mind, but to a non-dual mind, looking at it, he answered the question in silence. Getting back to Meg's reading, Maharaj was asked that similar question. How do you know where you're coming from when you answer a question? Maharaj explained, were I to think to be a body, would I have been able to answer your question? What benefit does anyone get from any answer that I could give if I talk to your body? You know, it's funny in AA too, you know, when we sponsor somebody, and it's the same thing. We have all this knowledge that we've been through the mill, but if we don't go to prayer and ask God for the words, you know, then what are we talking to? So every good sponsor, when asked a question by a sponsee, does that same thing. So Jesus experienced this also. His answer became the water. His answer was in the liquid to the vapor beingness where he was vacillating, already transcending the oneness, experiencing the allness, and somewhere in between that beinglessness, that being less. I'm going to use that word a lot, beingless, and delivering the essence of truth in the language of silence. Nisargadatta says, do nothing. Just be. In being, all happens naturally. So Jesus experienced this also. And there's so much to talk about in this courtroom, but that's for another day. I would like to do that. I'd like to do that someday to all the players and all that. But for now, let's get back to the awakening process in water. I want to tie that up a little bit. The most profound product of this world is tears. The byproduct from immense feelings, the feelings of pain, the broken heart that gets mended, the pain that we were brought to their limits and beyond, the melting of the solid in its limited form to vibrationally travel from the limited explosion of a seemingly real truth to the release from the solid to liquid, from the noun to verb, escorting us to the rebirth of a new creative frontier, all in pain, where oneness becomes more palatable. This new understanding sends us off with a gentle push to release us from the chains of the binary dualistic thought system, to surrendering to a let it be, to a larger mind, a non-dual mind. A portal is opened where I get that I met myself for the first time again. You ever have that feeling where you meet yourself for the first time again? That feeling. The other kind of tears, the joyful ones, take me beyond the nounship of a crystallized thought, this once solid form of ideas of the beauty of love that were based on a memory, are once again ready to be released from the conceptual knowing of what love is. The subtle surrender again is vibrationally released by the surprise of the not knowing. This melting of ideas and concepts in that moment to experience the moment of love in a newness that generated from the Holy Spirit's version of the I am. This has now become the flowing manifestation of liquid tears that are being expressed from the aliveness felt in the heart, which is the congruent joining of universal love. When the object of love's appreciation fulfills this experience, words like delightfulness, I never use that word because I'm always on the extreme, but words like delightfulness have their fleeting moments similar to teardrops, experiencing their fleeting moment, that I am not a teardrop in the ocean of love, but I am the ocean of love in that teardrop. Well, this is all well and good. This means nothing unless I put a human spin on it. Some 40 years ago, I was a successful functioning addict and drug dealer, and a week before my wedding, I saw one of my closest friends and new wife-to-be in a lustful joining. That was politely put. I was devastated by betrayal and tempted by my animalistic brain and its egoic operating system, fueled by drugs, alcohol, and power, knowing what I was capable of, but not reacting to the pulling of the emotional trigger. Completely frozen with hate, image damaged, afraid of what I might do. That thin line where insanity and sanity become one still had many miles before they slept together. The wedding clock ticking, getting closer. They didn't know I knew. Then they knew that I knew. The unspoken knowing day, where the tools of intimate, forgiving, connectedness, negotiation escaped us. We didn't have those tools. We didn't have help me see this differently. Why is this good for us? We didn't have those. For the fear to confront the words alone, our feelings handicapped any kind of forthcoming powwow. This is, I was governed by my ACIM. I didn't have those ACIM tools. I was governed by Westerns, That was the DNA of how to live my life. But anyway, during that time, my friend confessed. He voluntarily left my inner circle, a childhood loving friendship, casting blame on my wife-to-be. The sadness of his departure was unbearable. It was heartfelt void. I need to fill in some minor details right now. At this time in my life, my worldly life, money was my God, not love and understanding and forgiveness. So before his departure, I asked him about the money they consumed from their recreational drugs they ingested. And he once again deflected the blame and guilt onto my wife-to-be, stating, she said, she would take care of it with Billy. That was one encounter down and one to go. There was a pathway being excavated here, though, through this falling down process and living in the darkness and the shadows of my light. It was the similar healing process of moving on, except I wasn't falling up into the ascension of the spiritual solution. I was falling down with the survival tools of numbing my feelings through alcohol and drugs. The same way, there was no forgiveness needed because I was numb to my feelings and money was my God and true aspiration. So the Gethsemane hour had come with my wife. We got the betrayal of loyalty. I guess if you have loyalty, a special relationship, then the pendulum will also give you betrayal, for it is its equilibrium. So let's get back to this dream, the wedding day. Are we still on? Did we have to make worldly sense and find truths to momentarily and monetarily uphold love? Remember, money was my God. I'm navigating in the negative here. So trying to navigate through a moral compass was not making anything better. In fact, the question of body loyalty, the idea, was it bigger than my numbing process to my non-attachment, to my idea of love? No, it wasn't. I love both of them, Rondi and Rick. I love them so deep. We all loved each other. After our brief clearing of the air, there was an unconditional love being felt here between me and Rondi. There wasn't anything bigger than that in the world that I could ever experience. We had reached such an unaffected place. Through this great love, we surpassed beingness, and we're approaching the beingless. We shared a life in the shadows, but lived in a bliss for 7 incredible years before our addiction took over completely. So going back into the story, shortly after we got married, Rick and my roommate got married. We danced all night at their wedding. There was nothing bigger than our love at that time. So from a spectator's point of view, what truly flowed, even through this falling down process between us, and what continually flows between us after several different marriages, after many decades, still exists today. Can you ever stop loving someone that shares that same love that is from God? How do you do that? If you can, then that's not love. So let's look at this. As it says in NTI 2 Corinthians in the first chapter, what comes up came up to be healed. That is its purpose, if that's the purpose you give it. Now, I've been around the block a few times, and everything is for healing, and I know that. And and if you don't want to be healed, there's a lot of rabbit holes you're gonna go down. So let's look at it with the following up method, with a 20/20 hindsight and today's tools. We excavated a pathway to be used. To use. It was the byproduct of this negative singleness of purpose. I have a highway to travel on now. Just turn around and go in the other direction. We all had the players living in us. Judas, the cowardice of Peter, even the indecisiveness of Pilate. Let's move away from this Gethsemane and the trial. Like I said, that's for another day. This was not to emphasize personal sin. And I was trying to deliver this without trying to be the hero of the dream and set it up like the Popeye and all that stuff. So this wasn't about personal sin. And I think we get that. This was used as the backdrop for everything else to unfold. We had loyalty and betrayal. Two polarizing terminals. Betrayal, the negative, and the special relationship with the body. And we have loyalty associated with positive, terminal. Both of these have boundary and limitations that were both taken to their extremes and surpassing language. And in their journeys, they were both held together by something in that let it be Billy consciousness, deeper in his unconsciousness in the story. But by holding them in the Tao, even in the negative, even in the shadow, both terminals found themselves to make electricity. They found God. They needed each other. So let's take a break. So what does that say about our New Year's resolutions? Doesn't judging make it worse? Doesn't rejecting the bad and the darkness to make it all good? To make it all white? To make it all right? By saying we can accept this and reject that? Don't we keep empowering that cycle of the same polarization that keeps it in the surface of the dualistic problem? Don't we do the same thing in this path to awakening with the body and the mind and the heart, with the happy dream and the nightmare? What we do know is something inside us, something in us has to go deeper. Something that can hold both of them. hold it all, to find that meeting place of God and man, and then beyond. Stay with me. To believe that I could give and get something outside myself has cost me the awareness of heaven and my true identity. I don't think you got that. Let's say it this way. To believe I can give and get something other than myself, except myself, has cost me the awareness of heaven and my true identity. To deny this, the Course says, is arrogant. You know, and I think, the Supreme Yoga says it this way. It is the absence of self-knowledge that is known as ignorance or delusion. When the self is known, one reaches the shores of limitless intelligence. So what is this absolute denial? Absolute denial is when something that is not of God has complete power over you. Complete power over you. And I, who have given that something outside of myself, the experience of Lord, I've given the experience of Lord-like principles to. In today's reading by Reverend Meg, Nisargadatta said, I take nothing to be myself. Nothing, my name, my sexual maleness, my name, my job, I take nothing to be myself. Who I think I am, I take nothing to be myself. So here we are. I've painted this canvas. It's full of words, paint, and colors, images, false pride, false self, weddings, dancing, drugs, money, love, betrayal, loyalty, water, spirituality, tears, and full of the identifying bells going off in our heads with truths and insights and even inspirations. But take this canvas, take this homily and throw it away. For you have to go into you. This is where you find your true homily in yourself. This and that is heaven, and that is your true identity. Living your questions, you go deeper, and you go deeper, and you will live your way into the answer. So let's sum it up. I don't try to awaken with someone's method, someone else's method. I have a worldly moral compass. That's my shadow. I have a personal moral compass I share with God. And I take them both into the all, beyond intellect. And when I go deeper, and I find that I take that nothing to be myself consciousness, when I vibrate in that, take nothing, no worldly identity, it happens by itself. The Holy Spirit's I am oneness that transcended the binary dualistic thought system now goes from the picture of nothing to know me at all, to noticing nothing, to the Tao's opposite, that everything is just one thing in different shapes, sizes, and forms. We call it love, God, whatever. So what did this homily do for me? Father, 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 you brought up an ancient story this week that I hated when I was in it. You brought it for me to heal my relationships, or should I say my relationships with everything, for there is only one relationship. I know that. My polarizing dualities of loyalty and betrayal today. Do I bring these quietly to every relationship, to every encounter, robbing them their precious innocence of the moment where truth can spread its wings? Have I balanced these two dualities the best I could in the Tao to uphold my false idea? My crystallized water version of love in all my relationships? Father, Father, why now? Why now? Why do I have to wake up with such intensity to own my day? I don't want to talk about coming from my heart anymore. I just don't want to talk about coming from my heart. That also has crystallized the moment, leaving the option to betrayal, the betrayal door to my own victimhood. Is this where my loyalty now finds its oxygen? To be loyal to victimhood? Is this that subtle movement that I can't even see? I want to be empty, Father. I want it. I want nothingness. And to trust the silence that has words. I want to let go and let it be with you, in you. I don't want the world on how I created it. I don't want the same day every day. I want the I don't know emptiness, so I can continually meet myself in every situation and feel that freshness, the newness in that feeling of meeting myself again for the first time, feeling again and again the real I am. So from a pure source, only pure water will flow. I want to want with you. You know, everything was crammed into me, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I had to put it in some kind of a prayer form for me to even deliver it. You know, I stood at how many times that, I stood at those moments where, Father, make me feel okay when I turn my back on myself for you. I mean, how many, to stand naked. There's so many things to grab onto, that can take it to another homily, but I'm going to let go. And that's enough. You probably heard my voice. I'm tired of hearing my voice. As we are member supported, we thrive on your donations. So please donate if you are called to. And that is at awakening-together.org/donate. Anybody want to share?
I was just looking at what you were saying about coming back to the phrase, like, take nothing to be myself. And as I start to do that more, I see self in like everything that takes my peace or disrupts my peace. I could see self in all of those things. And so I feel like those are opportunities for me to let it go, as you were saying, to just let go of the self. And then you said something about being loyal to victimhood, and that just stood out for me, as if being loyal to victimhood could possibly, free me, and so it's really, there's no value in it. And I keep coming back to that when I look at different places and spaces in my life. And I really I want the I don't know emptiness, you know, that was really, you know, has been my aspiration lately is to be in that space. So thank you. I appreciated that.
Thank you, Bev. That was great. You know, dying to self, you know, staying in that moment where, you know, are you turning your back on yourself? Everything that you know, and to give it all up. You know, I take nothing to be myself. Yes, anybody else?
I
can't
think
speak.
Sharon wants to speak.
Yeah. Hi there, Billy.
Hi, Sharon.
I'm not on today to share because I'm with my grandchildren, but I did tune in on radio because I always do. If I can't, I'm blown away. I think that you have had such a rich life. And I mean that, yeah, I had written you, Dawn. Remember I said last week and this week I won't be able to share. They're running around and they leave today. So, but in any case, Billy, you know, the wisdom that came through you, I had to come on here. I couldn't just sit and listen to the radio. It's incredible the way you bring your what you perceived as your life as Billy to the truth of who we are. And your life as Billy was, and I would hope that most people that that are going through any kind of addiction could hear this. For one thing, I have a son that's in recovery from addiction, and but he was using all along until about 2 months ago. And I look at you and I think, oh my God, with God's grace, we're all God. Even the drug, when an addict's using drugs, you're God.
Mm-hmm.
Except we don't know it.
Yep.
So, you know, that's why I don't even know what made him decide not to stop using drugs either. I don't know, because it's been a 20-year thing, but I couldn't get it because I thought, and I know that through NTI that we're all God. And I still forget it at times. But with your homily today, I just have such a wonderful, warm appreciation for you, especially that I know from being a mom, you're very close to this disease, and you know that people don't pick it. Okay, no one's picking anything. This is a thank you from the bottom of my heart, Billy. Love you and everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the negative was growing quite rapidly, but it was excavating a path that I didn't know how to use until I stopped. But you know, I had to know wisdom. I had to know bitter to know sweet. If I knew sweet all the time, it wouldn't have a meaning. So holding both, I mean, holding both and going deeper, you know, like we do say in AA, or you know, it's in the promises. We don't regret the path and nor wish to shut the door on it. You know, but you're traveling with the negative, but doesn't own you. You gave it a space to hold up its Tao. You know, as you're getting to that center, you know, and the center is to take us to the next place, you know, and that's the letting go place. That's where you meet. That's, you know, there's lots of ways to say it. I'm new to getting acquainted with the reality, you know, with the vocabulary that we have here, you know, but I'm picking it up. Awareness, you know, in that, is it Brian Connor book or Thomas Connor book, you know, and he was talking about nothingness and try doing nothingness, and then he brought in the now just have one thing, And that one thing of love, that one thing is everything. But the way he brought, he brought the negative and he brought its opposite with it. It's so important. You can't dismiss one to make the other. They're both coming. I feel we just have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. I don't want to talk about coming from my heart, because if I'm talking about it, I'm not doing it. It's I don't know. Anyway, anybody else? Anyway, I think
Hey, I'll go.
Go ahead.
Well, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful to sit as like a performance of watching you go through this. And I've had the privilege of going through it with you during the week. So it's like, it feels wrong to withhold any information that I've already received from it, which is, taking every moment to, well, first I love when you said, there's something that can uphold everything and the all. There is something that can hold both of what I think to be polar. And it took this idea of the almost like the neti practice pickled on me. Like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not, like, the rejection of everything was not allowing me to be everything. And, which is why a lot of spiritual practices right now for me are being, I'm letting things go that were helpful, which is bizarre. And, but all of this week, I've had that Gethsemane moment where I could hear a dualistic question and I could recognize that I was going to answer from that if I was identifying with seeing that, and it was just really subtle and really intimate, but it was the result of having known part of this story and just the heightened awareness that is coming from resting in silence. The receivership is just increasing, the thinker is subsiding, the receivership is expanding. And it is the natural thing that's occurring, being pulled in this direction. Like, it's going to happen. Like, the empty mind is going to happen. and I just trust it way more than ever. And it's so beautiful to be doing this and to hear everyone's journey of how did I wake up more this week. So anyway, thanks for letting me share. It's been
especially from the witnesser, from gravitating to become more of a witnesser, and not being the experience, and living in that awareness, and then how that whole process of holding both takes you. They find their electricity, they find God. There was a great reading in this thing on how God could not go to heaven. God could not go to hell. God doesn't leave his vortex, and we're to put our awakening spin on it. But love could go to hell, and God couldn't. And was love more powerful than God? And is that thing that we struggle with in the awakening, that we leave God at that archer's bullseye, and we travel through into this emptiness, vastness of totally unknown, where everything is just in the vacuum of abundance. But the story was like, I forget it. It has something to do with Jesus went into hell to free the good souls that were not Christians yet, that came before him. like Moses and Abraham and Eli and all those dudes. And I'm not a Bible person, but I'm finding it fascinating because I can relate. I can stretch it into where we are, you know, and how, you know, how he went there and how love is actually more powerful. Anyway, I'm going to let go. Okay, that's it for me. I'm turning it over to Jay. And it was awesome.
Thank you for watching. This was our weekly gathering that we hold online. For more information, you can visit our website at awakening-together.org, or you can subscribe to our Awakening Together channel and click the bell for more notifications when we post our weekly gatherings. Thank you again for watching.